On to the next one. I'd like to welcome Matt Hopper, co-founder and creative director of Trisonic. This session is Adapt or Die, Shaping Creative for Optimum Engagement. Round of applause for Matt, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. A bit of a dramatic title, bit of LinkedIn clickbait for you there, but there is some truth in this. With all these exciting new platforms and formats and technologies we're hearing about today, why do people still put the same copy everywhere? They do. 30-second radio ads are still served to all these other platforms, and the point of that title is that unless we adapt, there's a danger that our campaign's going to die on its arse. And if you'll forgive the parallel I'm going to draw here with the natural world, in the first 22 years of this century, this millennium, dozens and dozens of species have become extinct. There's one of them. The eastern cougar used to roam the mountains just around LA, and urbanization destroyed its habitat. It's now extinct. The golden toad couldn't cope with climate change and has died out. But you know, Mother Nature's a wonderful thing, and creatures adapt to a change in landscape and environment. Here's one, the peppered moth. The one at the top there is what they all used to look like, light in color. And the Industrial Revolution brought with it a lot of coal being burnt, which meant that the trees that these moths sat on turned black with soot. So they changed the pigment in their wings, and now you find both types. Amazing. And more close to home and more familiar is the fox, who swapped the forest for towns and cities. Now, if you'd walked into this conference now, you'd probably wonder whether you'd walked into the wrong one. But there is a point here, and the point is that just as the natural world, the creatures of the natural world that have adapted to their environment have survived and prospered, so must we as the audio landscape changes. There is, though, an elephant in the room. People don't like ads. They don't. Programmers don't like ads because they get in the way of the content they've so carefully created. Listeners don't like ads because they get in the way of what they're there to listen to. So my mission, having been an audio creative, an audio producer for the past 25 years or so, has always been to try and please both. So really and truly, there's nothing that makes a listener tune out of a radio station quicker than a bad ad. It makes them tune out quicker than a bad song or a bad link. So you've got to keep them both happy and keep the listener in the zone. How do you avoid this switch off? Well, yeah, you keep the listener in the zone. Don't take them too far out of their world, the world that they're in when they're listening to whatever they're listening to. You don't want to bury it. You don't want your message to be lost. And bearing in mind all the exciting stuff is happening in digital, as we're hearing today, and all these new devices that we're hearing about today, you need to adapt your creative for the device. You need to adapt it for the mood of whatever content your listener is listening to. And you need to adapt it for the format of that content. And I'll just go into a little bit of detail on a sort of nuts and bolts level now. Connected devices is what we're hearing a lot about today, 36 million and more in this country right now. So you need to adapt your ads for the device. Now, linear radio is that box in the corner of the room. So when you're producing an ad for radio, you add loads of compression, you turn the volume up to 11 so that your ad punches through because you're competing with all that noise and whatever space that box is. But a lot of these connected devices are being listened to through earphones. And if you play the people listening to it through earphones a radio ad, they're going to hate it. It's too loud. So, and 85% of podcast listening, by the way, plus, happens through earphones. So what do you do about that? Well, just as an actor on a stage like this would project their voice so the guys at the back could hear, if they're acting for film, the mic's up close, it's a much more intimate performance. So when you're in the studio recording your ad, do 2 versions. Do one for...
Into veggies? Then put them in a pocket. Old El Paso's tortilla pockets are sealed at the bottom, so they're mess-free and ready to pack full of Mexican flavor and tasty veggie goodness.
Okay, that was a clip, a short bit of a voice session for one of our clients, Old El Paso. That was voiced for radio. We asked him to just tone it down a bit for digital audio.
Want a fun new way to get the whole family into veggies? Then put them in a pocket. Old El Paso's tortilla pockets are sealed at the bottom, so they're mess-free and ready to pack full of Mexican flavor and tasty veggie goodness.
So, change the voice performance. That's one practical step you can take. Change the mix, okay? So you've recorded your voice, you've got all your elements, your sound effects, your music. So for radio, as I say, you turn everything up to 11.
Get together and make some noise. Launch into mess-free Mexican the veggie way with new tortilla pockets from Old El Paso.
And this isn't going to sound right to you because this was made for people wearing earphones.
Get together and make some noise. Launch into mess-free Mexican the veggie way with new tortilla pockets from Old El Paso.
So change the voice performance, change the mix, and use immersive audio. This is, in earphones, is where immersive 3D audio really comes into its own. NeuroInsight did some work on this, I think last year, and they proved that there was a 36% uplift in memory retention, long-term memory retention, using 3D audio. And it does work. Trisonic, we at Trisonic have produced now 2 3D campaigns for the South African market. The very first was one of ours. The second was for VW. The guy on the screen is Siabalo Sanatla. He's a South African rugby player and also a VW ambassador. So we built a campaign around him for this vehicle, the Amarok. And this, again, won't come across properly to you because it was made for people wearing earphones. It is binaural.
Siabelo Sanatla knows that true power starts from within. That inner strength can help you reach new heights. In life, there's always another mountain to climb. But when you know your power, anything is possible. VW Amarok, know your power. To harness Siabelo's power, click the banner now.
Now, VW had run 2D campaigns on Spotify before this. This campaign resulted in a 300% uplift in click-throughs. So it really does work. We've heard an awful lot today about smart speakers. So why not adapt the creative for digital audio, knowing that 20 million plus people out there, half the population, have a smart speaker? It's important in creative terms to make the call to action, or the action the listener takes, as simple as possible. And so, when it comes to creating ads for digital audio platforms, connected audio, why not change the CTA? And we have an exclusive preview for you. I have permission from the client, Subaru, to play this to you. It doesn't break for a couple of days. But there's a traditional radio element to this campaign. So there's a traditional radio mix, but there's also a digital audio element to this campaign. And seeing as there are so many smart speakers out there, we have changed the call to action to reflect that. And we work with our friends at Good Stuff and Say It Now, who built an Alexa skill. And so this is the version people on their smart speakers will hear.
It comes with permanent all-wheel drive as standard, but then not every all-electric SUV is a Subaru. Introducing the Subaru Solterra, For a brochure or test drive, ask your smart speaker to open Subaru. All-wheel drive, instant torque, fast charging at a range of nearly 300 miles. Power your adventures in the Subaru Solterra. Ask your smart speaker to open Subaru. Range based on test conditions and may vary.
Let me know if that skill works. It doesn't launch until the 1st, so maybe not. But anyway, so change the CTA. What about mood? So that's device. What about mood and format? Well, simple things like changing the music backing. You can do this dynamically, but changing the music backing on the ad can make all the difference in the context of the format your ad is being played in. Change the script, vary the script, the style of the script. Hey, do you actually need a script? Well, in terms of podcast advertising, next best thing to a host read is a hybrid format called the producer read. And the producer read relies on that organic, natural, conversational feel that podcasts have. So we don't script them. We give the voice a series of talking points and give them time to ad-lib and inject personality into that. It's the anti-sell sell, if you like, and it really works in the context of podcasts. And another point to make is ad duration. 30 seconds is the default, isn't it? But it's not right everywhere. So in the context of that producer read slot on a podcast, you need at least, I would say, 60 seconds to give that really natural conversational feel. In the context of in-game audio, I think 30 seconds is far too long because gamers are really in the zone. They don't want to be taken out of the zone, so give them something short. And you can throw everything at an in-game audio ad in terms of immersive 3D audio as well. So why aren't more ads being adapted? Well, probably lack of knowledge, certainly low priority. Radios or audio is often the last thing to be thought of in a big campaign that involves TV and digital and this and that and the other. So low priority for sure. It's time we gave it more. And cost. But this is a fallacy because a lot of what I played you didn't cost anything extra or very little extra on top of just producing one execution. If you imagine you've got a voice, you've booked a voice, you're paying them usage for traditional radio and digital audio, it's the same. You pay them the same whether they record one script for one and the other, or one script for one and one script for the other. So cost shouldn't be a consideration or a barrier. So let's not default to 30-second radio ads. Let's adapt for the devices our ad is being played on. Let's adapt for the mood of the content we're injecting into, adapt for the format, and hey, let's be more fox and less cougar, shall we?